kids along with him to the funeral home and had his teenage daughter watching the others in the car. He left her in charge. He told the kids he'd be inside the funeral home for about 15 minutes. As he got to the door of the funeral home, he realized that he was at the wrong funeral home. So he immediately returned back to the car. When he got to the car, he opened the door and he said to the kids, "You're not going to believe what happened." To which his 5-year-old daughter said, "He's alive!" No, he's not alive. See, Thomas wasn't like the 5-year-old. His faith just needed a little more than it took to convince a 5-year-old. John Drummond, in a book he wrote on Jesus, said this. He said, "Jesus always distinguishes between doubt and unbelief. Doubt is can't believe. Unbelief is won't believe." Lee Strobel is an award-winning journalist and the author of the book, The Case for Christ. I don't know if you know this, but he started out trying to disprove Jesus as Savior. Mm-hmm. In answer to his wife's prayer, his wife had been praying for him for years. In answer to his prayer, he came to church with her one day. He said, "I'll go once." He was going for some ammunition to ridicule her and her beliefs. While at the church that day, he found himself talking, maybe praying, "God, I simply don't believe you're there. But if you are, tell me the truth. Come on." That day, Lee Strobel was changed. And over the next few years, he was changed by evidence that he compiled time after time as he tried to disprove Jesus. He found out that Jesus is the Christ, that he is the anointed one of God. You know, Lee Strobel's prayer was not a bad prayer to get started. However, Jeremiah 29:13 tells us a better way. It says, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." And that certainly seems to be the spirit of Thomas. He so wanted to understand. He just needed a little proof. Let me share with you verses 26 to 29. A week later, Jesus' disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands? Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." That's always my reaction when I see something so spiritual and I don't know what to say. My Lord and my God. Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believed." Jesus comes back on the scene, and this time he makes it personal for Thomas. Because he loves him. Thomas had his doubts, but Jesus met him right exactly where he was. You know, history teaches that Thomas went out to preach as far away as India. And eventually he was martyred for his faith. But he was so convinced. And it gave him incredible purpose. Easter purpose. Life purpose. Folks, I think Jesus would want to meet some of us right here. Just like he met Thomas that first Easter. And maybe he would say to us, come on, Steve, stop doubting and believe. Jesus loved Thomas so much that he wanted him included in life in him. He wanted Thomas included in his purpose, in spite of his questions. He wants you too. To have his life, to have his purpose. You see, Jesus just didn't conquer the grave on that first Easter. He wants to bring life where there once death, where there once was death in your life. He wants to resurrect a relationship that has been alienated. He wants to resurrect a career that has been jobless. He wants to resurrect a purpose where there has been no direction. He wants to resurrect a confidence that has been destroyed. He wants to resurrect a marriage where you feel more like roommates. There's a song in our songbook titled, The Resurrected King is Resurrecting Me. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. He's doing it right now. And he can do it in your life. Because folks, I've got to tell you, there is hope. Hope in our grief, hope in our fear, even hope in our doubt. Please let me close with this story. Let me tell you about a 22-year-old Christian woman named Amzie Smith. Lovely, lovely girl. She fought a tremendous battle, finally dying of cancer at age 22. Sometime before she died, she was walking through the hallway in the house of her best friend, and on the wall were 3 pictures. They seem to be there forever. She remembers them forever. Amzie's shoulder brushed one of the pictures, and she knocked it off the wall, and it broke. Glass was all over the floor. The 3 pictures said faith, hope, and love. And Amzie broke the picture that said hope. She looked at her best friend and said, I just broke hope. Her best friend said that at that moment, God must have spoke through me, because she said, these words just came out of my mouth. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. She pulled the picture out of the frame and said, it's just a frame. You can never break hope. You taught me all about that. They cried together, knowing how sick Amzie was, and about her super hope of her eternity with her Lord. A few months later, at Amzie's funeral, her best friend told the story. She said, it's amazing how the Lord speaks to us. And then she said this. She said, frames are fragile. Our frames are fragile. But when hope is inside of us, the frame can break, but not our hope. Never our hope. That's secure in Jesus. Romans 5:5 says it this way. It says, and hope does not put us to shame. Some translations say, and hope does not disappoint us. Because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. You know, on Good Friday, I think Satan thought he had conquered the grave. He watched Jesus die. He watched them put him in a tomb. He watched them roll a rock. But then Easter Sunday came. And he realized that the only thing that had broken was a frame. And our hope? Well, our hope is alive and well. My friends, he is alive. Amen? Let's pray.